company secretary. So I started running the length and breadth of Lagos, looking for banks and the rest, until I got appointment with INEC. Still, I didn't settle down for 6 months. But after 6 months, I worked with an ambassador that really mentored me. I made up my mind. I was going to stay in the civil service. I recognized quickly the prospects in the civil service and what I could do to get to the top. But I wasn't looking at any boss. I wasn't looking at anyone. I had so much passion for the job. I put in my best. My first day in INEC, I closed at 2 a.m. And I looked at it. This is how it's going to be all the way. But while young lawyers just doing our work, and later I left Ogun State and went to the headquarters. I got into an office where women sit down every day. They come in the morning, talk, eat, sell things. I didn't like it. So my director then, Alhaji Madaki, he recognized me. He started giving me serious work to do. Even though we're in a talking environment, I'll take all my agreements home to do, and I was like that. I always watch my bosses, and I can say I have excess energy in me. I love to work. One of the things you can make to excite me in life is to work. As we are here now, if you tell me, oh, we have to design a policy, we need to do something, I will share every other thing. I'll stay with you till night. So I think along the line, quite a number of the bosses I work with recognize this in me. So they used to give me a lot of work. But certain qualities helped me to get to this point. I am loyal to a fault. I believe loyalty is not 99%. It is 100%. If you don't believe in the organization you are working with, leave. You don't have to work there. If I don't believe in the mandate of INEC, believe in what INEC is going to do, is supposed to do. Like now, you can't convince me election is rigged. If you talk to me till tomorrow, you can't convince me the election can be rigged. So I decided that I'll be resilient, I'll be committed, and I never looked at the men I work with as people I cannot work with. Even if you show me signs you don't want to work with a woman, I ignore it. We talk on paper. So I started this work in that light. I worked briefly with Jega. I work with quite a number of bosses. And when I'm working with you, I pick something about you that I think I must build on. If you are my boss, I come to work very early, I join you. If you are a good writer, I join you. I pick all your papers, I pick all your work, I make photocopy. When I get home, I read. When I have spare time, which I hardly do, I look into all things. And I call my girls. I'm used to working with many women. I call them and I tell them, don't allow yourself to be relegated to the background. You need to showcase yourself, bend over and beyond, put in much commitment to your work so that when it is time, nobody can take merit out of you. You know, when I was going to get this appointment, I think just about a month before, the chairman just called me and said, Babalola, can you please give me your CV? Can I have it in 15 minutes? I said, it's ready, sir. When I took it to him, he said, what kind of CV is this? I've not seen this before. I always have a special folder, well bound, nicely made, with my name printed on it. Then I had my CV inside. He said, I'm taking it somewhere. I know you can pray. Just pray. Something else helped me in my career. I met a permanent secretary when I was growing. She tells me something, Toyin, what we are doing is God's work. I took it from there. I'm doing God's work. It's my act of worship to God. The nature of work I do, I may not go to church for 6 months. I may call my pastor once in a while, but I try to make sure that work I'm doing, does it glorify God in any way? I tell God, this is what you have placed in my hand to earn a living. I want to do it well to glorify your name, so that anybody that passed through my office, they would go with something. I will impact them. And I do a very stressful work. I go to work every day. The days I'm able to go to church, you see me coming to work with my headgear from the gate. I'll drop it in the office. But I learned early how to balance work and family, to plan ahead. I learned that you have to be proactive. You must be ready to face any form of stress. Be principled. Focus on what you want to do and be very firm. Work within the ambit of the law. I faced a lot of pressure. I faced blackmail. I faced intimidation. I may not be able to explain deeply, but if I tell you what I went through in this country, I sat in my house one day on a Sunday. I opened the papers, 5 newspapers, that I paid a demand of $1 million from a politician in Nigeria. It's not something to laugh about. For 3 months, I did not sleep. He wrote a petition to the president against me. Why? Because they always want me to interpret the law in another way. Judgment is written in English, not Yoruba, not Hausa. I must interpret it the way it is. Lawyers are not fair. There are lawyers who write, mention my name, quote me, I'm misdirecting the commission, I'm not telling the truth, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. I thought it was a joke. My learned brothers and sisters. He wrote a petition to the president. The president minuted on it, President Buhari, investigate this woman. They took it to Baba Chilawa, set up a panel. When they brought it to my office, I felt bad. I felt my commission was not supporting me enough because they know it's not true. My chairman said, investigator, set up a panel. I asked him later. I said, because I know nothing will come out of this panel. They invited the writer of the petition. He never showed up. And today, I'm in Ondo State, superintending election in his state. As I speak to you now, there is somebody that went on a rise and said that woman, Mrs. Toyin Babalola, is the problem of our party. She's recognizing a particular leadership. I'm talking about February. I was in the aircraft, I was just landing, when somebody called me, are you watching Arise? I said, what's happening? He said, your name is on Arise. By the time I got home, my chairman sent me the script. I was like, he said we were three of us sat, and this woman said we should, unless we give her $50,000, she will not recognize our group. It never happened. People will go to my friends, they will go to my colleagues. This woman is our enemy. We have been brought up in the profession and by my family to always do the right thing. So I want to encourage us this morning. In whatever we are doing, we should be focused. Nobody can do anything to you when you are doing the right thing. Do not allow external pressure. You will even find your own colleagues. You know why the genesis of that right of petition against me? I wrote a memo to the commission, and my conclusion was the commission must be consistent in its policy. Somebody took that memo with my signature, photocopied it, and gave that politician. So when you are working, you need to be a bit economic sometimes. I learned with what you write. So after that incident, I pick just a few people when I'm writing very sensitive things. We need to be focused. We need to be firm. We need to be passionate. We need to have plan B. When you are doing something, always have a plan B. And you need to be proactive. Because you spend most of your life in the office, make yourself comfortable. Get good food to eat. If you can't get your necessary arrangements, make your working environment very comfortable. If your office is not providing, use your money. I was just sharing with my Lord just now how I renovated my office with my money. I do it for my staff. Weekends, people just come to work with money on Monday, and they will find that something has happened to their office. But we need to be committed. We need to be hardworking. We must be passionate. We must be principled. Show high level of integrity. Recognize your area of strength in life. You cannot be good in everything. But whatever you think is your strength, whatever you recognize in the people working with you, identify it, harness it, and make good use of it. Let your employer have utmost confidence in you, such that they can entrust anything into your hands and they will know that you perform well. I'm very sure other discussants have a lot to say.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Oluwatoyin Babalola. I'm sitting right next to you, so I knew the point you went emotional and almost broke down in tears. You spoke with a lot of passion. I can just imagine. If it is in an informal parlance, we'll say we'll gist that one later. So, my lord, Mrs. Babalola has put us in the field. I can't even begin to imagine your own story. So please share with us a summary of the journey so far.
Thank you. I usually would say, asking me to share my story in 10, 15, 20 minutes is a tough and a hard one. However, I'll try to compress it. Before I went to Ife, and today is a way I don't know, I had studied education and then went for youth service and went back to Ife. And why? 3 things I wanted to be in life: a teacher, a lawyer, and a public relations guru. The public relations idea came from my father, who was a public relations director in Guinness at the time. And I just loved the clear lights, the fact that the man had series of invitations by his table in the house every evening. I had to go through it with him. He picked the ones he wanted to attend. That, I think, was my attraction. But along the line in life, I was told that, look, naturally, you have good PR. So we don't think you should bother to study that. Just stick with law, and I had done education anyway. So I went to Federal Ministry of Justice. I started with the Department of Public Prosecutions, and I prosecuted quite a few cases. And when I say quite a few, I mean quite a few. The Umana case, the money doubler, yeah, I prosecuted it. Then, today that thing is not a secret. I used to be Miss Coca. And then, of course, the Joe Brown Akabweze case, the largest shipment of drugs into Nigeria. I prosecuted it, along with Mrs. Wonufolami. I had quite a few of those cases. I remember I had gone to a prison visit once, and one of the prisoners saw me, who ended up in prison because of one of those cases I handled, and came and said, how you do? And I looked at him and said, why? He said, because he mentioned another name. He's also here. He's very bitter. I said, what did I do? I said, it's not me, it's the judge. Me, I only did my job. I don't know why the judge said he believed me. He said, and I said, but what about you? He said, he is happy because at least he met with the Lord in prison. And I thought that for me was a good thing. So I was happy, and I said, well, I'm happy that you've learned where your mistakes were, and I look forward to meeting you in future. Federal Ministry of Justice, I was prosecuting for 6 years. I had the privilege, the singular honor of working with two individuals, Elijah Wonu-Folami and the late Nwadia Lo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. I worked with Elijah Folami before she retired, and that was where I began to learn the ropes. She would send me to court. She would go with me first date. She would lead you. Can you imagine? Largest shipment. Of course, the people was there with me, so of course I was confident. First day. Second adjournment, my lord, ma, we have it. No, go. You're looking at her like, go, how? You're going to do the work. And then what she used to do with me was she would sit in front of me. I would present the case, and she would throw back the questions of opposition. That was what we used to do. We used to have that round table any day, anytime we were going to court to give. So that sent me back home, where I thought that I hadn't done a good job, to say, oh, how come I didn't think of that? What if he threw that at me? And that was where I learned due diligence. Please note that. It's important in your career as a woman. Are we different from men? No. But does the society expect more from us? Yes. Why? Because society will first say the man is better, the man doesn't have any hands, the man is not going to take care of the family, the man is not going to take care of the home, he's not going to get pregnant. So of course they give the offer to a man first and foremost before they consider you. This is where you come in to do the extra work to show that you merit it. So that's how I went the ladder. All those cases used to come, and all the packs, there were packs, and because that was when I ever knew that, oh, if I needed to prosecute a case, and I knew the IPO, he had to report to me as he continued the investigations, so that because I was going to prosecute your case, I would tell you, no, you've done this, but no, you haven't done this. I need this information. I need this evidence. And that helped us to build our case and go and prosecute. I was in the ministry for 9 years. I rose normally. I wasn't sitting at work. My dear sister had said it all. I also had that group of friends who you will get to the office and they were eating and gisting, but I wasn't like that. In short, the irony of federal ministry was you find your friends and colleagues giving you your file. Oh, they just have me announce. Please announce my case for me in court and take a date. It wasn't a bother for me. I love to go to court too. And I would be in court till 4 or 5. But of course, my bosses used to look out for me. Because they knew, they just saw you, they saw the zeal, and they were like, oh, she's going places. When they used to say you are going places, I used to wonder, which place, like where? I didn't understand them at the time. After I finished, look, they were moving to Abuja. And of course, I wasn't ready to go to Abuja. So I started hunting for another job. Mrs. Folami again came up and said, no, I think you should try to go to the bench. I said, okay. I mean, it was better than, I love to prosecute. There was just something about it. When I was prosecuting Joe Brown's case, I was on TV every night. Every night on the news. Just go, you will see me there. It was an everyday thing. That was when I was used to DSS. SSS people following me all over the place. We would leave court, and for detour, they would take me to a friend's house. If I came to her house today, I would go to Nkechi's house tomorrow. I would probably go and visit the Lanet the day after. Why? Because of course, in case there were people on our trail, it was a detour to just get them off my trail. And it was serious, but I really didn't look at it as a dangerous job. I enjoyed it. The day we were burning the drugs, the only thing I looked at was the wall. And I asked myself, can I scale this wall if I had to run? And I looked at my skirt and I said, yes, I can do it. And I said, yeah, let's go there. So we burnt the drugs and we went. They brought in, what do you call those luxurious buses? But filled with all those businessmen who, of course, were involved in the drug. And we called for reinforcement. But mine was, can I scale this wall? I can scale it, I'm out. Don't worry. We burnt it. It had its own drama, but we did what we had to do. That was, I remember I sent a colleague to court one day just for judgment. And she came back, she was weeping. And I was like, what's the matter? I said, how do you do it? They sentenced her to jail. I said, It's not me, it's the judge. I only did my job. Little did I know that I was going to be at the end of the day on that side. So I started as a magistrate in Lagos State in 1996. And that was it for me as a woman. I was there for 23 years. Wow, yes, wow. I was there for... Did I not know what I was doing? Of course I knew what I was doing. Even if I say it, I would say it over and over and over again. Of course I knew what I was doing. But I was there for 23 years. I wasn't an indigene. And I just felt, hey, what has indigeneship got to do with this matter? I'm working, and I'm working hard in Lagos. And I earn it. Don't tell me. And I was adamant. I was like, we are going to watch this movie till the end. Why are you telling me that because I'm not an indigene, I can't become? But then there was a twist to it. Then came those questions. Can you go to the palace? Which one is palace in the matter? I said, palace, what are they doing there? I didn't get any answer. I ignored it. You know, you get those little insinuations. Can you do this? Are you willing to do that? And of course I wasn't willing. Why? Because I knew that my work was speaking for me. I would not take bribe. And I don't know, there was this essay, that's how we became friends. So, and I used to speak up. When we go to meetings and lawyers get up and say, magistrates take bribe, I will take the microphone and respond. Magistrates may take, please name and shame. I don't take bribe, don't add magistrates. Don't put the S because then you've involved me. I don't take bribe. I do my job well. Please tell me the names of the bribe takers. The Magistrate Association made with the chairman of their disciplinary committee. I was determined to root them out. Forget, I don't care who you are. Of course, that was when I learned that this is Nigeria. Then they come from the top and say, you know that person, we have promised you will lie low. You won't hear from her again. I say, it's not me, it's the public perception that they're creating. And sadly for me, my uncle-in-law, Justice Shegun, now became CJ and weeded out 21 magistrates in one day. One day. At that point, of course, I had enemies, bad enough that I was saying. And then here comes her uncle-in-law, who now removes 21, who feel that they didn't deserve to be removed, who some of them felt I probably contributed to the names on the list. Whereas I also went through the same procedure. I remember going to visit him with my husband, he told me in Yoruba, I'll just give it a literal, God saved you. Yeah, you are not one of those bribe takers. I would have dealt with you, but I'm so proud of you. Of course, I left there, my shoulders were like triple the size. I was like, and I left a message. No, it's not about the Shegun name. It's because I also have a name to protect. I'm a coker. And I told him in Yoruba parlance that this coconut already had water in it before the rain fell. So it's not about being married to Shegun. I also have a name to protect. I am a coker first and foremost. And that name in itself has a reputation. It wasn't going to be tarnished in my own time. I had prosecuted phase 1, magistracy phase 2. I was there for 23 years. I worked in the administration for 10 years. Little did I know that God was preparing me for something like this. I was bent, and all through that time, my father had served Ogun State as a commissioner, and he desired nothing else in his lifetime. Things will continue to. I didn't see along with him, but I didn't know that God had a reason. I keep saying God, because I believe in God. Did I have challenges? Yes. How did I move through it all? I was married. I had a husband. I raised my child. But through that period, I still worked diligently. When I say I just glossed over it, I say I did admin 10 years. It's not that you just come to work and go at 4. You leave work at 11 p.m. Yes. As in 11 p.m. This Ikeja is not, I'm not talking about anywhere. Don't look around. Is this Ikeja, this premises and that premises. We leave work at 11, 12. Then at 2 o'clock, the CJ will call you. And then you pick your call and she said, oh, Sonny, that is, oh, you're not sleeping. And of course, my reaction is, if I was sleeping, would I be picking the call? I'll say, of course, my Lord, I'm not sleeping, because you are expecting the call. Can you marry? You are beside your husband, but of course your phone is not on silent, because you know. Beside my bed, I always had not just my phone, I always had a notebook. I always had a notebook beside my bed, on my desk in the office, in my bag. So those are tips. I went around with those things. Why? Because I needed to take notes. Even as a magistrate, I had notebooks where I copied, like my sister said, people that I thought had excelled. I took down notes from what they had written or from their own files. And one of my friends later in life compiled those things and it became a book. I didn't do that at the time, but she did. Because for me, it was a ladder. It was something that guided me in all my proceedings. There was nothing I hated like getting into court and a lawyer coming before me. And then I'm saying, okay, we'll adjourn and I'll come back for my ruling. No, I just didn't like, it just didn't go down well with me. I wasn't like that. I just wasn't made or created like that. I thought your response mattered. A colleague of ours, an elder colleague's son, once worked he's a lawyer. Well, his past now was a lawyer, and he went back home to tell his mom once, that Mrs. Femi Shegun, her own is plenty. These authorities that are cited, and he mentioned 3 of my colleagues, in this court, that court, that court, and this one didn't even look. I cited it in her court, so I got embarrassment. She nailed each one. She picked this one, told me this one is not relevant. I picked it and said, no, the issues raised. He said, what kind of person is that? Tell her to be piping. I said, if I had piped you and it had happened in another court, you would have added my name to the names of those magistrates who don't do their work. So I won't pipe. The same thing with bribery. Always remember that people are watching and noting. The same way that young man went back home to tell his mom. It's the same way a police officer once said, my Oga one, she will not collect bribe, but you can give me, what was that? Ankara, I will give to her. Unfortunately for him, he said it in the presence of my cousin. And she walked in. I don't waste time. It's open court. This is what I heard. Policeman, come forward. I didn't stop at that. I insisted. This man must face disciplinary action. I don't like to cover up. Look, that is one of the problems of Nigeria. It's not good now. It's going to come. They first said they were going to move him to another state. That wasn't good enough for me. They demoted him. That wasn't good enough. My question was, look, all of these processes will keep this man in the system and he will repeat it until I saw that justice was done. Because why are we all here? I keep saying it every day. We might as well just shut down the courts and we all go back home and look for something else we can do. I've been thinking of going into drama or dancing, just in case it happens. Just in case it happens. But we're either willing to make a change or we're not willing. I went through 23 years, served 4 chief judges consecutively. Each one, Justice Phillips, I would always mention her. The last time we had a women's conference and I was called upon to tell my story, I made reference to her, still as far as I'm concerned, my best CJ came to me, and at that time, life had happened to me. My husband passed. It's not her. In the midst of it, I still had to leave. And my daughter was saying this 10 years, a couple of months back when we celebrated 10 years of Femi's passing, that I just knew I had to rise up and fit into that gap. At that point, I became a man. I just had to be a man and a woman. But at the point when he passed, Justice Phillips came and sat beside me like this in my house and whispered, "Bisi, you came first in that exam, but if you..." When I tell people, they look at me. But you know how many governors have looked at me and said, and come to me sitting and they say, "You are Casey's sister." And I'll look back and say, "Yes." Say, "You are Casey's sister." And then I'll look at them and say, "I thought you would be saying you are a judge, but you are looking at me and saying I'm Casey's sister. Which one is that?" They'll say, "No, we know Casey." I say, "I know you know Casey, but hey, but what am I doing now?" Even at that job, he ensured that he made a name. He is richer than me today. I tell him, the thing pains me. I say it's because they have not started paying our new salary. When they pay this, I will also be rich. I will be rich. Thank you. So that what am I saying to the women here? Whatever you choose, this is an example. That is an example. Whatever field you find yourself, determine to be the best. It's not going, nobody's saying it's going to be easy. 23 years. If you had asked me, I had my life mapped out. By 50, I'll be in the High Court. Then I'll move on to the Court of Appeal. I'll be in the Supreme Court. I mean, that was where I was seeing myself. And 23, when I turned 40, I was like, it's not even possible. How can you be 40 as a magistrate? Lo and behold, I turned 50. Then I became a judge at 59. That was in 2019. The irony, Ogun State had promulgated the law, customary court law, in 2011. It waited for my coming, my arising in 2019. I became the first female judge of Ogun State Customary Court of Appeal in 2019. And this is the last leg. And I just must say this, and lo and behold, 4 years. I can say it, if you come and prove me wrong. It has never happened in the history of Nigeria. Show me the person within 4 years of becoming a judge becomes the head of courts. But you've got one sitting right in front of you. It was not my doing. I will not lie. There were battles. The High Court had assumed that that role belonged to them. But one thing that I learned through life was, as often as I asked myself as a Christian, what do I want to be? Which ministry has God called me? Is it children's church? Is it pastor? Is it deacon? I often always heard it, well, policy. And it just, let me be frank, it didn't make sense. I just used to wonder, Holy Spirit, which kind of English is this? Policy? How? What's policy got to do with church ministry? But again, at a time, two things I realized then. That God was raising me to effect and affect policies. One, magistrates court law, Lagos State. I was the person who started it and saw it to fruition. The courts you see and enjoy today, the one in Igboshere, the one in Apapa, the one in Apapa Ajegunle, well, Ajegunle Apapa. Those were courts that were created as a result of that policy. We sat down and felt there was a need to change the face of the magistracy. Did we meet opposition? Yes. Was it a lot? Yes. But today, those buildings stand. Have they implemented everything in the law? No. But the law still remains in Lagos State till tomorrow. Two, NJC now rose up because the High Court judges were saying, somebody who just became a judge 4 years ago wants to become president. How? At the 102nd meeting, the National Judicial Council came out with a policy for this country, saying henceforth, no judge is allowed to move from the High Court to become the president of the Customary Court of Appeal. And no judge of the Customary Court of Appeal can also move to the High Court because of one person sitting right in front of you today. oppositions came, they wrote letters. In short, she was crying. I can't remember the number of nights that I was crying like, who asked for this? God, I was just sitting. I'm happy to just be a judge. My set had celebrated me. I was fine with that. Let me just continue. I even knew how many years I had left. But it was that same week that they now elongated the years. At that point, I now knew whatever it is that you're facing today, do not be distracted. Be focused. There is a purpose. They say that, see a man diligent in his ways. That's what the Bible says. He will stand before kings. I have stood before Babangida. I have spoken truth to authority. Don't like me. We've had interviews. When I come in, you know what they used to call me? Oshe Omole. Why? Because I will fight for the magistrate. I enter and you say, how has the magistrate? You improved yourself. Your colleagues have not improved themselves. Then I sit down and I argue. How do you expect them to improve themselves? How much is the salary? That I go online or that I look for courses is a personal thing to me. When we begin to teach them the options of it, and I go on and then I come out of the interview and people are like, what happened? You were there for the longest. Everybody came out 5 minutes. I can't tell them that I was sitting there trying to argue your cause. But I will argue, I will speak the truth. And that changed the course of my life. I remember Mr. IKEJA. He used to come to Lagos. That's foyer that got burnt. He will call me aside. Are you sure you don't want to withdraw your letter? I don't think you are doing the right thing joining the magistracy. He say, you are a perfect prosecutor. You want to wait. He would try and come here and I will smile and say, I appreciate it, sir. It just shows me that you got faith in me, but I think I just want to live. This is what I want now. IKEJA did that for a long time. But when I started remaining there for 23 years, I started thinking, Abi, was it actually the right thing? Well, did I make the right decision? And your darling husband was my very good friend in the ministry. He used to call me persecutor. When you get to tell him you met persecutors. And I used to say, I like it, I don't mind. And he didn't change anything. But we're very good friends. I just say, when he sees me, say, I'm persecutor. He said, I prosecute, I don't persecute. But all of this, you would stand before kings and not mere men. Diligence is crucial. Paying attention to details is important. Carrying yourself is important. When I say carrying yourself, please know who you are and what you want. Don't let anybody pressurize you. Go to palace or you want to, please. I don't even talk, I just do this. Look at me, child of the king. What are they doing there? Why is a child of the king going to another king? Is it that I don't know my position? Those things will come as a woman, but you must be sure of who you are. It's important. And above all, I don't know what faith you practice, but please, know that there is a God in all of these situations. Hold on to that truth. Hold on to God. Just know that there is a God who sees. He actually rules in the affairs of men. When they even wrote it, NJC, it was as if they were my people. They even said, I know them. Because what they wrote was, even it doesn't matter if the judge was only sworn in 4 days ago. So I leave you with these thoughts. This is my story. We all have our stories. There's nobody without a story. But always remember there's God, and please make sure you're determined to be the best at whatever you want to do. And hold on to your faith. And hold your head high. And please, integrity is important. Do not sacrifice it on the altar of anything. Let them know about you. Whether it's Alausa, whether it's Alausa. They know when they hear Coca or Femi Shegun, that woman is a Wahala woman. I will not bend them. I know you will laugh now, my brother. I see you laughing. We both know. Yes. Just because it's important for them to know who you are. Let them know where you belong and let them know where you stand. You're not fighting anybody, but this is what I believe in. Whether doing this work together or we're not. Thank you all for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, my Lord. And for me, the most touching part is in the middle of all this, your professional excellence. You have a touch of compassion, approachable, and friendly. Please, let's give her another round of applause. So, Mrs. Falana, SAN, could you share your story? I know 15, 20 minutes is impossible.
Maybe impossible.
But let's make the impossible possible.
Yes, perhaps I should begin from where I stopped. Now, when we say there are no ladies at the bar, and I want to say this because of the young lawyers, ladies. When they say there are no ladies at the bar, please tell them there are ladies at the bar. This idea of there are no ladies at the bar started in the pre-1921 in England, when Beth, a lady, went to court to represent her client, and the court interpreted Section 2 of Solicitors Act of 1843 as any person there does not include the woman. And so they carried it that only a man could represent in the law court. And so this went up and on like that until 1921. And of course, the activists went to court and they couldn't pull through. But in 1921, in the case of Edwards versus Attorney General of Canada, the court held that any person, include a woman and a man, and that as long as you are a human being and you have passed through all the necessary requirements, you have all the necessary requirements, you appear in court for any person in court, you are qualified. And so since then, ladies have been allowed to go to court and represent their clients. And this case has been the locus classic because people kept on using it as a nice judicial precedent. So if I am a lady and I can go to court to represent, the law allows me to do so, and I am doing so, why will you now say there are no ladies at the bar? And so even the judges will say, I wonder, when they were coming, my pay was asking me, I am surprised. Even when I was reading about some judges yesterday, I saw, they said, it's lordship for a woman. I said, this is wrong. I said, don't allow any judge to intimidate you in court. When they say, I am not my lady, yes, you are my lady. And we should be proud to so say that I am a lady and I'm at the bar and I am doing well at the bar. The idea of there are no ladies at the bar has been jettisoned in England, where we got it from. And we're still carrying it on in Nigeria because we have mixed it with our cultural practices and discriminations against women. And so we begin to say there are no ladies at the bar. That therefore leads me to what I say, it is a bit difficult for you to get to the top if you are in private legal practice. It may be easier if you are in public practice. I guess what we have about 60%, almost 60% of women who are judges today. And about, I think 41% who are in the public sector. But 22% in the legal private practice. And somebody was asking me, I told, when I mentioned it to someone 2 days ago that I will be honored as the first senior advocate, female senior advocate in IKEJA. But I said, you are the first? I said, yes. Why will I not be the first when there are only 35 women out of about 900 men who are senior advocates of Nigeria? So, and this is not unconnected with the fact that it is a bit difficult to pull through in private legal practice. Now, listen to my story. I was a physics teacher. I read physics in the university and I was teaching. I determined to become a professor. I was determined that I will be a mentor to many. I will get to the top and I will shine in my field. So I was determined me to be a professor of physics. I wanted to make a point that as a woman, I could also be a professor of physics. I was the only girl in my university class of physics. And along the line, I became a physics teacher. Thereafter, after some time, after teaching for some time, I changed to law. And when I read law, went to master, and I went back to the university to teach law. I was a lecturer at the same time practicing with my husband in chambers. Now, why it is difficult now? Because women we usually be subsumed under the shadow of the man. Now, you will agree with me that until a client has seen you argue your case boldly in court with the knowledge of the law, he would be reluctant to give you the case. If you ask to select either from a man or a woman, he will choose a man. The reason is that a man will be more bold, but a woman will chicken out because a woman they will be easily intimidated. And so if women are easily intimidated, it is difficult that the other party may intimidate my lawyer and she may chicken out. And so they will prefer to give their case to your male counterpart, not even recognizing the fact that when you were in the university, you were better than him. Or in the law school, you were better than him. But because he is a man, they will prefer to give that case. Now again, I will tell you a story. When I was teaching law at the University of Lagos. I was practicing with my husband, and that is why again I will tell you it is a bit difficult. One day, we went to court in the morning. He went to court. I went to court from the chambers. But I had a lecture in the university at 1 o'clock. I had a 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock lecture. I think like Nigerian legal system or constitutional law now. And so I went. I told you, please pick the boy. We still have a boy in school there. Pick the boy from school, please, because immediately I leave court, I will be in the university teaching. I went there, and by the time I came back to the chambers around 5 p.m., I said, "Where is my son?" He said, "Oh, look, Benny, you didn't go and pick him. You are supposed to have." I said, "I told you I had a lecture." Fortunately for us, the boy walked down himself all the way to the chambers. And when I entered the office, I saw, you are saying yes for me. When I didn't see you, I walked down. Then we will leave the office together. We will go home. How are you? You're welcome, you're welcome. 5 minutes after, show Jay ready. With my jacket, I'm still, put on my jacket, rush to the kitchen. Now, we went to court together. In addition to my going to court, I went to university to teach. In addition to that, pick the children, to take care of the children. Back again, show Daniel. We just came back together. Is the food not ready? So this is one of the reasons. Yes, this is one of the things that drive women away from legal practice. They want to rush out of legal practice because of the traditional role of a woman being the housekeeper, the caregiver in the house. And there is nothing you can do about it. You must do this. You must be able to combine the two. Do not allow any of the two to hinder the other. And that is why you will now be more hardworking than your male contemporaries, such that, because you need more effort to be able to meet up. If you don't, you will lag behind. The first is that they think you are not good enough, so you must be able to show that I am a woman, I am good enough, even better than my colleague who is a man. Again, there is no time. You have to do more, and so you have to work more. Be more hardworking and be more focused. And but you must also be determined. Have a principle for yourself that I want to get to the top. and I will not allow anybody to pull me down. Now, like I said, we are usually subsumed under the shadow of the man. Like Mrs. Carter said in 1900, that this is the calamity of a woman. That when you were growing up, you are hidden under the shadow of your father. When you get married, you come under the shadow of your husband. And when you grow old, you go under the shadow of your son. This is particularly my own case. Now, sometimes when I go home, go out now, they'll say, "Are you fast, mom? Are you fast?" I say, "No, somebody gave birth to fast. I am father." Again, sometimes because I am a woman rights activist, I was invited to give a lecture somewhere on an International Women's Day. And when they were going to introduce me, they said, "We are happy to have the wife of Mr. Femi on an International Women's Day." I picked up the microphone. I said, "No, Mr. Femi Falana is not a woman, and he has not been invited. I have not been invited as a wife. I have been invited as a woman, based on my own capability and ability, and what I'm able to do, what I know, and my contribution to the society. That's why you have invited me." So you don't have the wife of Mr. Falana here, but you have Fumi Falana here. Again, either we like it or not, maternity will hinder our contribution. Two months ago, one of my lawyers just came. She just delivered. When they are pregnant, we encourage them. They go on maternity leave. After maternity leave, she came back. She said, "I don't want to continue legal practice. My husband said I should resign so that I can have time for the baby." Now and she was doing well. Some of my lawyers are here, Olamide. She was doing very well in legal practice. She was a potential senior advocate of Nigeria. But the husband said, "Leave. Come back home. Come and be the caregiver that the society has made you." And she lost the experience, and she's back home. Sometimes we encourage, in my office in Abuja, there was a particular lawyer that was bringing her baby to the chamber. I encouraged one of our workers, I encouraged her to bring the baby to the office for 3 months. She will bring the baby in the office, put her in the library, and do her work, just to encourage women. So if you are not focused, or you are determined that come what may, I will get there, it may be very difficult to get to the top. Less than 5% of women, of the senior advocates of Nigeria are women, not because women are not good, but we don't find ourselves in private legal practice because of the problems that are associated with legal practice. And again, like on Sunday, after church, because we had a case on Friday, on Monday, and we needed to work on it, I had to call some of my lawyers who were in the office with me to prepare this case. But I have lawyers in my chambers who are female. I couldn't call any one of them. Why? Because their husband will ask them, "This is Sunday, stay with me." So until you are able to draw a line and say, "This is what I want to become, these are the inconveniences, but I will weather the inconveniences and make my way to the top." And again, I want us to also remember that there's the need for us to encourage, to give more encouragement to the younger ladies. Let them know that they can get there. Despite the societal prejudice against us, the natural, which is the maternity, the natural intricacies that may also want to pull us down, and the perception of, again, some of the older lawyers. I have women in my chambers because I'm a women rights activist, but there are some lawyers that will not want to employ them. As a young counsel, they say they will go for maternity. They won't do as much as they want. As I don't want to take them, how then will they grow? How will they get to the top? Some young ladies have come to me that their principal, because of sexual harassment in the chambers, they had to run away from the chamber, from their principal. And they had to resign. They were forced to resign. So all these are the problems you are likely to face if you are in legal practice. Yes, the man, because he is the master of the chambers, he is the one that pays you at the end of the month. He cannot control himself. He wants to ask you to go to bed. So it's either you say you want to remain or you go. And when you go, you also lose again your year, your experience. So these are the problems that we have in practice. I also want us to remember that when there is a way, there is always a way. So we must be determined that I want to get there. You must have a principle for yourself below which you cannot go down. People must know you for something. Mention for me Falana today, they will say she's a woman rights activist. I'm sure some of us in NBA will remember, was it 2011 now? When there was the election here, I stood, 2012, I stood my ground. They were going to rig the election. I said, no, they will not. Because I happen to be the chairperson of that electoral committee. And they, of course, they will oppose you. A lot of insults. When they know that you have a principle. I heard that they want to resist a lot of insults. But I want to also remind you, if you must get to the top, you must be able to choose your battle. It is not all battles you fight. I just disregarded them. So there are some times that you disregard some people. If you continue to fight all battles, you will lose many. Choose few battles. Select your battles wisely. Don't fight all battles. Be focused, because when you are fighting all battles, you will lose your focus. Be focused. Look at the target. I want to get to the top. So when the situations are not convenient, you try as much as possible to weather it, so that you know one day you will get there. Hard work cannot be shortchanged for any other thing. It must be very hard work.
Thank you very much. So when you talk about passionate women, you have met the three of them. Please, let's give them another round of applause. I'm going to briefly come back to you, Mrs. Babalola. You spoke about your love for work, you're passionate, you're proactive, and you spoke about work-life balance. And you whispered to me that, can I say it? Okay, so talk to us about work-life balance and managing motherhood and work.
Thank you very much. I learned early in life that I need to manage both. When I joined INEC, I was the only lawyer in my state. So I had no assistance from anywhere, and I had nobody to delegate to. But then, I had friends in the Ministry of Justice. Sometimes I run to them, and they assist me. But balancing work life, I can cook stew. There's no time you will meet me, I will not have stew for 3 months. Yes. I learned how to preserve, how to do things ahead of time. At that young age, engaging people that can maybe come at weekends, we work together so that I'm not lacking in anything. Fortunately for me, my husband works very long hours, so he can never get home before me. That's what I just target. You can't get home before me. So if I know he's going to get home around 11 p.m., I'll be home by 10:45. Yes. And within that short period, I can put things together. I'll give you an experience. I had my first child in 1993. And by 1994, exactly 11 months and 2 weeks after, I had another child. So, nothing, no. See me, I didn't feel anything. I even had house helps, but I don't leave my children with house help. I wake up very early in the morning. I get them set, and off we go. I remember then my boss called me and said, Tony, I heard a rumor. Somebody told me you are pregnant. I said, okay, you are not seeing well. You are not seeing well. I didn't press the stomach well. 2 weeks after, I had a child. But it didn't even affect my work. I felt so bad that, oh, how will I take maternity leave within 11 months? So I told my boss, can you please give me 3 weeks? I don't want to go on maternity leave. He said, no, I'll give you maternity. I said, I'm fine. So I go to work every day with my child. Like what the learned silk said, I had a commissioner that was very compassionate. He's late now, Mijo Adewale. He would say to him, I see the way you like to work. When you get to work, bring your child to my office. He was my commissioner. He had one anteroom. He would put my baby there. The other one would be in the daycare. And he would call the secretary, please, you know this girl is busy. Take care of her child. And my commissioner did that for me for almost 4 months. Now I had a long break. I'm relocated to Abuja and I was working. In 2003, we had Buhari Obasanjo matter that we were prosecuting. I had about 460 witnesses to coordinate from different parts of the country. I was working with Shofunde SN in that matter. But see me, I was going to have a child. My director just used method one day and said, follow me, let's go and see Muhammad Abubakar, commissioner. When we entered, he said, sir, I didn't tell her what I wanted to say. But you see, Toyin, she's going to deliver. Can you tell us your EDD? I said, anytime in the next 3-4 days. He said, okay. When do you want to stop work? I said, I'll stop 2 days to delivery. He said, okay. The next question, when do you want to resume? I said, sir, I'll resume in 2 weeks. And I did. I found a way around it. I carry my child in the morning. I bring her to the office. I get somebody to stay. And we are going to court every day till 6 p.m. because the matter spanned for 1.5 years. The director said, no, I don't want to leave anybody with this matter. Shofunde SN said, no, I want Babalola to work with me. So what do? I found a way around it. And I tell my young lawyers, anytime we are preparing for nomination, I start sensitizing them 2 months to that time. I'll say, do you want to shop? I have somebody that can shop for you. Do you want to buy things? They will say, even up to yesterday, one called me, Madam, that's your Ewedu. How do you do it that will last for 3 months? How do you do this? Because sometimes when I make all these things, I bring to them in the office. I share to them. I tell, so what I do, I try as much, when my children were growing, no matter how late I get home, I had to beg them. Say, please, even if you are sleeping, I want to wake you. And they agreed with me. We agreed that no matter when I get home, I will wake them. I will walk them, put them on my laps. We will talk. I will tell them what has happened in the office today, why I had to come back home very late. They say they understand. I will look at their homework, check everything they have done for the day. I remember a day because my second child is about 10 years older than the third one. So I used to live her in my sister's house. So one day I just said, just come out towards the gate. I will pick you there. She was about 8. Instead of staying by the gate, this girl went to the road. It was around 8 p.m. I cried that day. I said, because of work. She now said, Mommy, nothing will happen. I said, no, follow my rules. Sometimes I would just pick them in the night. I said, have I been less a mother in any way? I want them to tell me. No, they will say, no, Mommy, you are even more involved in our lives. So you have to find a way of balancing. Is always, even if you have to take that, I still take my children to the hospital if they are sick. I'll get to work, I may go with them, I'll get to work, settle everything I need to settle. If you see me go to work, I'm treating files in my car. Because there was a time I needed to treat about 400 files per day. So I batch them in 50s. I receive calls in the night. The chairman will send me text at 3 a.m. Can you provide this? I provide it. So one of the things I learned, so that I will not need to run back to the office in the night, every work I do, I have a copy on my phone, I have it on my laptop, I have hard copy in my car, and I have in my bag. Like just now, my commissioner called me. He wanted all the information on the CVR that we just concluded. I have it on my phone. I just stepped out. I spoke with him. I told him all the relevant pages to refer to because he was entering into a meeting. And he just replied me, you have made my day. So anything you are doing, because you can have bosses that want to talk to you in the night, they need information. Don't think that boss is putting pressure. If a boss is calling you at 3 a.m. or sending you a message, it means that boss is working at that time. He's also carrying the burden of the establishment. You can only make it lighter by responding. So just, there are ways of balancing life. It's all about food. It's all about cleaning the house. It's all about paying attention to your husband, paying attention to your children. But don't resist assistance. There are little people. There are people that job that you give to them is what will make their life. Just find people around in the neighborhood, people you can trust that can work for you, and it will make your life a lot better.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Milord, you said many things, but one of the things that, one of them that struck out to me was being fearless and speaking the truth to power. In the society we find ourselves, that is already a problem. And being a woman is a double problem. So how were you able over the years to have done that and they haven't assassinated you yet?
Thank you. Yes, let me put it this way. You must first ensure that people know who you are. It's important. You can't come from nowhere or have a checkered history or act differently from what you say and expect people to take you seriously. So it's very crucial that you know that. This is who you are. I will not say this and do the other thing. If I expect everybody to be in their office as a chief magistrate, if I expect the magistrates to be on seat by 8 o'clock, then I must lead the way. The joke when I was a magistrate was, that woman, don't go to her court. It's as if her hand is always on the door. As soon as it is 9 o'clock, you hear bagam, 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 and she comes in. So that for me was something I had set for myself. This is who I am. This is what this work demands. I'm willing to do it. So when I now have to speak up, I will not keep quiet. I will not. I will have to stand up. We were at a meeting once with the CJ and they went back and forth about this overnight thing and all that. So I got up and said, with all due respect, my Lord, I am a bit worried that every time we have a meeting of magistrates, the issue is always about overnights. Is there something about this overnight that is different? Look, I'm always very frank. That is it not meant to be work? So why do we come here every month to discuss the issue of overnights and the reaction of the chief magistrate to it? And I'm saying it is work. So where you find a chief magistrate, from the record, who has all the overnight and has not spread it, I think it speaks for itself. We can't continue to come here every day and repeat the same thing, whereas authority just simply needs to say, Chief Magistrates A, B, D, J, you're erring. There's something more to your work than what it's supposed to be. He looked at me. Who trained you? I smiled and I told him. Said, no wonder. Said, they know. I said, my lord, but some of us don't know what the issue is. If it is about corruption, why are we covering it up and saying overnight? Simple. Chief magistrates, you take cases. You do not spread, you do not give overnight. Why you hoard them? It's because you are taking money. This thing is simple. If we don't want to speak English, we can speak Yoruba. But we will get the message across. So, because of course, I was confident in who I was. I knew that dig it down deep, down below, throw it up, you won't find anything. I would say what I would do and I would do what I say. And therefore, it made it so much easier for me to speak the truth. When I go for interviews and I stand to defend majesty, it wasn't because I didn't know that I could just walk in and answer my own questions and go out. But if you expect more from them and you haven't created the enabling environment, I just thought it would. For me, it's wickedness. And I was speaking at that time to an attorney general with whom I had had the privilege of working at the Federal Ministry of Justice. So he knew I would tell him the truth. This was me when I was in the Ministry of Justice. Anytime we needed to go for a conference in Abuja, this fine gentleman will call me, tell my colleagues, you better give her to take it to the Attorney General. He will approve it. And everybody used to wonder why. Because the only thing the Attorney General would ask me then is, he will look at me and do this. I hope you are like your father. I hope you have the same integrity. He will say, what is it? We're going to Abuja for this conference, sir. How many of you? And he looked back and said, what? I said, no. He said, why? I said, because now I'm on a different phase. I'm starting my family. I'm raising children. I'm prosecuting. I'm doing X. I'm doing Y. I can't add writing to it. He didn't talk to me for a couple of years, but he didn't move me. I will only always say what I know. And I can't imagine having done it and failed in that course. For me, that would have been a worse dent on my person. So I would confidently tell you anything. Speak truth to power. Why they didn't kill me, I don't know. Maybe I will ask them, but I don't know. Seriously. I've been in prison. I told you the experience. And he walked up to me and said, don't go to that. And then I was like, why? He said, that guy can't kill. I said, what did I do? He said, you sent him to jail. No, me. He was a judge, oh. How can I? Me, small fry like me. When I was prosecuting Joe Brown, one day I got to come. We used to laugh. I used to joke with him a lot. And I said, JB, how are you? So one day I got there and he frowned. And I was like, JB, what's the matter? He said, they've told me. They had moved him apparently from NDLEA custody to proper prison. And there he had met some people, obviously, that had prosecuted. They told me in prison that you are bad, that I should stop laughing with you, that I'm going to end up in jail. I said, and you believe them? Me, as gentle as I look, I cannot lead you to jail. The only person who can send you to jail is the judge. I won't take responsibility. But through it all, we've had cases where people, they ask me that a lot, I must admit. I've had colleagues I've even been on a plane once, and somebody had tapped me. I said, do you remember me? And I looked, and of course I didn't remember. He said, you prosecuted my case and sent me to jail. And I looked back and said, and what are you doing on the flight? Seriously, I don't know. I looked back and said, really? And what are you doing on the flight? He said, don't worry. I said, I worry. Not that I'm afraid of you, because I know if you do anything, we all die. But if you are in prison, then you're still supposed to be in prison. I've returned from sittings in court, and my colleagues I've returned once, and somebody said, oh, X came to look for you. And I tried to recall the name. And then it strikes me maybe in the night, oh, I must have missed. I think I prosecuted that guy. So how come he's out coming to look for me? What was he coming to look for me for? Anyway, they've given one my address once, went to my parents' house. Luckily, I wasn't at home. I wasn't staying there. I think it must be God. There is no other story. From all of this, how did they not kill me? God. Did they make attempts? Maybe. Those little ones, he was on the plane. So tapping me and trying to scare me. Yeah, we all die. You do anything, we all die. So why are you trying to make a fuss out of it? So I don't know where that confidence came from, but I looked back at him and looked at him and said, really? Yeah, okay. So what are you doing here? What are you doing on the plane? He said, I leave that one. I said, I'm not afraid for that. You try anything, we're all going to die. So, God, at the end of the day, God. Why am I still here? God. Did they make attempts? Maybe. Was I always sleeping well? Yes. This is my mouth. I will say the truth. Will anything happen? No. I have spoken the truth. Senior advocate, we are friends at the end of the day. My dear brother ran away. One day, I made an order. I told them, go and bring the solicitor. He was solicitor general. Go and bring him. He knew I was going to lock him up. He ran away. What did they do? He ran away. He knew. That's why I said, I told him. He ran away. He said, she will do it. I was sitting on my own once. They called me at night. Auntie, where are you? In my house. What happened? They are talking about you in Alaus. I said, that's what? Somebody came to your court. I said, many people come to my court. What happened? They said, the man said, you gave him bail. I said, you should be happy. He said, but that's, I give you bail. Pursuant to section 236. That you hardly do. That's section. And then at the end of the day, you now come to me and say, don't I know who you are? I should let the accused person go home. Because you, as a shorty, you were traveling that night. The person's wife is my colleague. But I looked at the person like, did they tell you where you were coming? Me. I will let the person go. Because you are traveling tonight and you know the governor. What do I care? I'm doing my job. The governor is doing his job. Of course. They called, apparently went to Alausa, and there was an opera, and they called the then Attorney General, Professor Shibaji. And the first question was, who is the magistrate? And when he said, it's Mrs. Wemishego, he said, I don't want trouble, leave her. She knows what she's doing. I will not let you go, I will not let the defendant go because you are the husband of my colleague, or because you know the governor. I have done what the law says. It says you can grant bail under these circumstances. The law did not tell me if the shorty wants to go to London that night because he knows the governor, you should let the defendant go home. Of course I did it. So my response still is, in all of this, God. All the sayings they say in Alaka, they call me, they're talking about you. Is it negative? No. They all we know how, we don't want our trouble. Let you to go and do the right thing. What is the right thing? Please, shorty, come and stand. Is that difficult? But you want to prove to me that you know the governor. I don't know the governor, but I know the law. And I'm here to defend that law. And I will defend it. I still say it till tomorrow. That law, we will defend it or we all go home. We shut the door and go and sleep. I told you, I already have my own passion. I will either dance or I will act movie. One of the two. So choose you this day what you want. Will you stand your ground or you will not? Thank you.
Thank you very much, my Lord. Choose you this. I am trying very hard to envisage you dancing. Thank you so much. Mrs. Falana, you touched on something that is very, I would say still very trending among women working in all factors or sections of life, sexual harassment. They come in many forms. And I know you may not want to share, you may want to share, you have had your own experience as well. Talk to us for the young women, the older ones. How best, one, can we protect ourselves from it? And two, can we deal with it if we happen to find ourselves in that position? And three, how can it impact on our professional growth?
Thank you. Yeah, sexual harassment, talking about the public service, it may, of course, it happens a lot, it happens, but in that sector, it is easy for you to say, I will report to the higher boss. It is easy for you to say, if you do this, I'm going to report to the CJ, I'm going to report to, but in the private sector, when you are undergoing sexual harassment, you are with the Lord and Master. He's the one that pays, and he who pays the piper dictates. So he will always want to remind you, it's either you yield or you go. But if that man knows that you are a principled person, and that you are determined that nothing will shake you, and he knows that you are very hardworking, he will think twice before even saying it to you. Before he conceived that idea, and I want us to know that, before men conceive such idea, they would have already psyched you up. They will already know the type of person you are. If I throw it to this one may accept it. If I throw it, this one is, so those who will usually fall for sexual harassment are those who are not hardworking, who think they cannot get there without a push. And they think there is something they can use to push themselves up. And this again comes to hard work. You must be hardworking such that in the university in those days, we will come for our papers. I was the only girl, so there was no way I would get harassment. And I would say, I will come for my paper, more so that I knew what I wrote. I will tell you, I told some of my lecturers there, if this happens, I will do this, but if it happens that you fail me, you know I will call for my paper. And I will make sure that I will put in more effort than any other person so that it will become very difficult. Because it is when you get 38 or 39 or 42 that they can push it to 30. Or when you get 48 that they can push it down back to 40 for you. But if you score like 60, 70, it will be or 80, it will be very difficult for that man who wants to sexually harass you. So pull him back. Then you will be bold enough to say, get me my paper. So if you are very hardworking in that office, the man too does not want to lose you. Because you are an asset to the chambers. There are some of the guys that may have already identified you. And you are the one they will say they want so to handle my case. I want so to go for my case. These guys, he will think twice. And that comes to hard work, focus, determination. And if you are passing through any situation or anything that you think you don't have an answer to, this is why you need a mentor.
A little insight into how it applies in INEC.
Thank you very much. We have been advocating for gender parity. It's a process, and there are many organizations that are working towards it. I can boldly tell you today that INEC started this work in conjunction with some development partners, I think around 2013. And in 2014, we developed a gender policy for the commission, which is very friendly and advocates equality and equity, recognizing merit at the same time. For me, I've never experienced gender issue in any form of way. As I speak with you, we have 22 serving directors in INEC headquarters, and there are 13 women among them. And I'm sure by the time we have promotion, the outcome of our promotion exercise this year, we are going to have more women, because the environment is friendly. Even private organizations can develop gender policy that will be very friendly. We also have, we talk about gender policy in the area of women. There are some professions too where men have.
Thank you very much. Let me quickly say, setting the tone at the top is simply for me a continuation. I got there, and then Mr. Ogal, now he's a learned senior advocate, now called me personally and said, Mrs. Femshek, you are always advocating this in this fiscal year from the budget. And I said my office did not see 20 naira. I said, I don't know what you're talking about, but I can tell you that, and I would like to see the records. And then somebody goes on there, please. Of course, trust me to ignore the person. You cannot be rubbing your finger when you are lying such huge, like 20 million. I was like, as in how? Me? No. Don't use my, if you want to. So when we finish, I say, you know me now, next time you want to cover up, use another department. Don't use me. You know me, I cannot keep quiet. I will say the truth. All right. The man knows me. He called my name and said, they have used, you are saying they don't take care of magistrates. You just spend 20 million. I said, from where? Not 20 kobo. I said, and then I turned the question back and said, your wife is a magistrate. Something they purchased before, something they are purchasing in the future, and then you just say purchase. But I have laid it from the beginning. As it was in the beginning, it is now and ever shall be. So when you bring it, I know. Now that I'm there, my thoughts are simple. I'm leaving this seat by the grace of God, not tarnished. Leaving it for posterity. Leaving whoever is going to come and occupy this. I'm occupying the seat that was occupied before. So when I tell them, I say, come and see this thing. Is to have the opportunity to go or to do virtual. Common sense now. If I send, I can only send X number of people. If we do virtual, I can put 40 people in the room. Give Shebi, all is going to take is internet and television. Oh yeah. And we all benefit from that same training. The training says you can either be there or virtual. But because we are Nigerians, we want to spend government lean resources. We now decide, then some people are doing our service. Good morning, ma. How are you today, ma? Did you take your bath, ma? Have you taken water? Thank you. I have taken. Did you drink water? Thank you, I drank water. Thank you, I'm fine. Thank you, I am good. I'm not going to recommend you to go for that training. We are all going to sit in that room. We will sit and we will all benefit from the training. At the end of the day, 40 of us would have benefited as against 5 people or 4 or 3. So for me, those are the issues. I will not compromise those positions. I will spend government's lean resources properly. I will not get a contractor. If you are my friend, hate me. Sorry. I cannot call you to say, I will give you contract. Come on, don't worry, come and do furnishing. It's a lie. If I tell you, I just want to see your face in Abeokuta. There is no contract. Direct labor is good because it helps us to spread the very lean resources. My parting words, please, as women, again I repeat, we can be all that we desire and aspire to be for as long as we're focused. These men will always be men and think that they are better. But it is our duty to show that we know what we're doing and we will hit that mark and beyond. And that is my desire for every woman. We will hit that mark. So on a parting note, men, look out for the women. We just started. We're coming up.
Thank you very, very much. Is there a difference between being a feminist and being a woman advocate? Is it the same?
The same thing, but I know I'm a woman rights activist. I advocate for the rights of women, and I also always want to stand by the side of women to let them get to where they should be. And I think but with your hard work. When others are rejecting assignments, please go to your boss and ask for assignments. I want to go for that matter. The more you go to court, the better you become. The more you practice on drafting processes, the better you become. Don't dodge assignments. I used to have a lawyer in my chambers that she will pray that the court will not sit when you ask. So she just mentioned to one of her colleagues that I always pray that the court will not sit because that judge will harass it. I said, no, don't shy away from your error. Don't let any judge intimidate you and you become afraid of going to court. The more the judge harasses you in court, the more bold. You become bolder and it strengthens you and you become better. If you get to court, there are some judges that will say, see the earrings you are wearing. It's too big, especially for the younger ones. They won't do that to us. But for the younger ones, see your ear. So because you know that judge will comment, go there next time, pack your ear neatly. Dress properly. Let your earring be tied up. Don't put anything at all. Don't put on anything. You don't have to put on anything. This is what she wants. Okay, I will do it. If she harasses you today, what was the point she mentioned? Next time, don't say I won't go to that court again. Because if you do that, you are running away. And you are also depriving yourself of going up. Because we want to move further. And as you press on, when you get obstacle, press further. You overcome it. The judge is difficult, he will shout at. There are some of our judges, they will say, she is very difficult, she will shout. If you know she is difficult or he is difficult, continue to go there. Prepare very well. Do your homework. When she notices any mistake, make sure that does not repeat itself the next time. Because I have noticed that some of our younger girls are running away from legal practice because of all these things. But there are ways that we can overcome them. We don't run away from them. We persist and we overcome them. It's a hurdle that we must all jump over. But it is in your consistency, your perseverance, that you jump over it. And I want to beg our men and our people in authority, please let us encourage our women. I say it again. Give them assignments, give them positions. Try them out. They are good. They are as good as, they are better than some of the men. Yes. Try them. And when they give you assignment, please, we must always prove that point that we are better than our male counterpart by doing more than others can do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Falana. So the floor is going to be open for questions. But first of all, we would like to do a special presentation to, well, maybe I'll call me Lord.
And so, like Mrs. Falana was saying, that the female students were always better, I made sure that
I have a testimony. I have a testimony.
But I'm just saying that I was mindful of what you are saying, so I made sure I didn't allow them. I made sure, you know, and it's been very enriching, the growth over the years. And of course, I must be honest, Mrs. Femi Shegun told us, my Lord Justice Femi Shegun told us, those 23 years, they were years that we were reading the book of Lamentations. And it's the truth, because each time I will see the list again, and I will say, my Lord, what happened again? Say, that is it all. You know, and so when she told us that they told her to go to the palace. You didn't understand it. My Lord didn't want to do pre-action protocol. My Lord was not ready to do pre-action protocol. And that was it. And it's very interesting, you know, having them say these things, because like I did say last year, this session is not meant for any pretense. It's not meant for pretense. It's meant for women to hear from women what they have, where they went through to get to where they are. Because if they don't say it, just say, oh, they were catapulted, you know, and they are there. And I remember when Milord was sharing with us, one of our female CJs told her, you are coming to Abuja with me. Milord, you know, you are coming to Abuja with me. Just let me leave it there. So it gives us great pleasure for Mrs. Falana being here. You know, when the issue of being honored was mentioned, my brother Mr. Femi Falana told me, he said, Tunde, are you sure this is not Akure Parapo? Because we happen to come from the same place. But today it gives us great pleasure to celebrate Mrs. Femi Falana as our first female senior advocate of Nigeria in this branch. And I'm sure all of us women
My son is in the house. I want him to
yes.
come and receive it. My son.
I understand our learned friend first is in the house. Can you please come to the podium?
Since my husband is not here, he will sign it.
Don't take the shine. Behave yourself.
He said you should behave yourself.
Don't take the shine.
I thought you were coming in your suit. I thought you were coming in your lawyer's attire. I thought you were coming in your lawyer's suit. Just before you came, I said, like Mrs. Carter said that when she was growing up, she was under the shadow of the father. When she got married, came under the shadow of the husband. And when she became under the shadow of the son, I said, sometimes these days when I go out, and I said that Mrs. Fowler, they will ask me, are you far small? And I will remind them, I am bigger than fast because I gave birth to him. Thank you.
Lanet Silk, it gives me great pleasure. And indeed, I must say it is an honor for me to have to present this to you on behalf of NBA IKEJA as the very first senior advocate, female senior advocate of IKEJA. Congratulations, congratulations indeed. And I congratulate you very well. Thank you, congratulations.
Please pass it to her. No, not now. No, you still respond, but not now, because you want to take questions.
All right. Thank you very much, Lynette, presentation, and congratulations, Mrs. Falana, for being the first. You have opened the door for others to follow. So we are actually having a panel of first. So Mrs. Falana is the first senior advocate of Nigeria. IKEJA, the female advocate of Nigeria for IKEJA brand. Milord, I mentioned you're the first president, female president of the magistrate court, customary court, I beg your pardon, customary court of appeal. Oh, that's a mouthful. Sorry, I beg your pardon. And Madam here, you had mentioned you're the first staff, female staff, that was made the first staff, male and female, that was made the resident electoral commission for INEC. So you have first. And yes, give them a round of applause. For some of you that know me, I am actually the first female registrar CEO that ever held the position in the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria. So it's a story that is very interesting, because the Institute had been on for 50 years before they appointed the first registrar CEO that was a woman. And what the ladies have shared here is it's not easy, but it is doable. And the common denominator, if we have been listening, is to be persistent, to be determined, to have integrity, to remain focused, and for yourself. So I know we have many more firsts in the house. So let's give ourselves a round of applause. Oh yes, we have Mona, first female secretary, MBA IKEJA. So the first, we have many firsts. So the floor is open. We will take some questions. I propose we take all the questions, then we take answers to make it a bit. The floor is open, and I don't know if there's anybody to help us with the mic. There's a mic over there. So we'll take all the questions, and then we'll take answers. Please, ladies and gentlemen, when I began, I said just gentlemen. I've been corrected in the bar as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's follow this protocol. You tell us your name, you tell us who your question is directed to, and then you go straight to your question. Let's keep it 2 minutes so that we can go as far as we can within the time scheduled. So, yes.
Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's been an awesome time. I'm so glad I'm part of this gathering. Happy to be in the midst of first on all sides. And I'm also happy that I fall into that category, be the first female secretary of MBA IKEJA branch. Now I want to ask a question. Every speaker has told us how we need to work hard. It's not a very friendly environment or atmosphere for a woman that wants to rise and raise the bar. My question is directed at each of the speakers because they have different stories to tell. It's just a simple question.
My question is this. My name is Caroline Iwarenyafe, the president of the African Women Lawyers Association, Nigeria. My question is this. I have a problem with my gender in one aspect, and that is that it seems we keep having programs talking about women trying to rise beyond limits. And issue. Why are we made an issue? Because we don't have programs. And I said something that she had reason to be somewhere, and they said you are wife of somebody. And she stood her ground and said, I'm coming here in my personal capacity. My Lord has also spoken well. The same with our resident commissioner and my colleague here, Mrs. Nkechi Onyeso. There's a nudge. How do we deal with that nudge? How do we allow it to work within us and use it to work? Every woman has that nudge. You have that push. How are we utilizing it? Do we allow our spouses? I know of someone today, she's very intelligent. I had reason to work with her now. And she told me when she got married that her husband said she has to stay at home to raise the children. And I pondered on that. You have to stay at home to raise your children? Why didn't you tell me you could navigate? And she stayed like that for years, over 18 years. She's now trying to navigate herself in the legal profession. I also had a case of a sibling who got married. Prior to her getting married, she was a banker. And the minute they got married, my mom had a policy, when you're getting married, she will call your husband to me and say, look, you are meeting this woman like this. You are not going to tell her to start navigating around you because you know she's a professional. But along the line, she got married and the husband said, came to my parents and said she has to stop working because she's a banker. And my mom said no. So, and she was already giving in. If that had been my mom that helped her, how resilient are we as women and persistent? I think the onus still lies on us, going beyond the limits. Thank you very much.
Okay, is there any more? All right. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes, please.
My name is Yinka Kotoye. My question basically goes to present my position, and I said again, and which was how I was taught working with Mrs. Ira Balogun for 12 years. My lady, again she repeated it. Then Kemoze came to me and said, Yinka, Ukukolo wayo. Ukukolo. How would you synchronize that point so that for those of us who are litigators and who had these contemporaneous views about issues, and when we take such an address, we will not be unduly victimized? I could withstand my points that day, and I was able to take my case, and I actually told her at a point when I was arguing the appeal that I trained under so person, and this is how I'd seen her and also how they would be addressing a female judge. And it is about advocacy, it is about being succinct in your presentation. She didn't like it again when I took her out midway. And I think somebody whispered something to her. After I finished the proceeding, she said the registrar should come and she'll call me into her chambers. She apologized. But I'd noticed it consistently in other female judges in other jurisdictions. But the day I got shocked was when a judge in Lagos here actually also raised it with me. But Mr. Kotoye, you are always saying my lady, my lady. Well, gentlemen at the bar. I said no. I said no. When I'm addressing a female judge, I've been trained to say, with the greatest respect, my lady. And I have not seen any crime in that. So my question is, how do you intend to synchronize that? It's very important. Because the female colleague have often arose from things like that where there are no certainty. And I think it is important it is addressed. Thank you.
Okay, we have one more question, and that, okay. We have one hand here, one hand here. Those last two, okay, and then that's all. There's a lady there. Please take your hand up properly so she can see you. Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, our wonderful speakers. And I stand on a system protocol. Honestly, I want to commend your industries for this wonderful topic, robust and a wonderful discharge. Because when you are not charged, when your battery is low, when you are not loaded, you can never recharge. And I can testify that with all these wonderful speakers, honestly, I doff my cap for all of you. You are well loaded and you discharge well this afternoon. I want to say that, like I said, and I want to repeat to lend my credence to this topic, regards to the safeguarding the rule of law in Nigeria. I celebrate you all because you have channeled your life through the path of integrity in line with our profession to safeguard the rule of law. When you look at the word rule of law, when you begin to analyze the anatomy, of course, it's a big umbrella with different roots, which I said that from all testimonies or stories we're listening to this afternoon, it shows that you are on the right path. Women, we are the problem of ourselves. Honestly, I want to, my lady, honestly, a lot of them begins to ruminate in mind when you are telling your stories that, how do you regulate out? How do you navigate among your fellow women? They will tell you, is she the only one? You want to aspire to the level, local level, international? Now, my Lord, Honorable Justice, Shegun. Oh, wow. Women, when a woman wants to aspire in life, we are fond of this stabbing at the back and pull out that syndrome. And as long as we have that syndrome in our midst, we will never set a tone. I want to use my Lord word to get to the top in life. Because we should love ourselves. When you hate yourself, nobody will like you. I cherish one thing about the men. Men brainwashed us. And as I do tell people that, what they used to kill us in this country is Salam Aleikum in Jesus' name and ethnicity. And they pull us down. We are struggling to wriggle out of that three factors. Men, they have one voice. Once they know that, oh, you want to go, they will support themselves. But women, once you don't belong to their carcass, that, no, I'm not for this, my lady here. I'm not for, let us seek from Falana. I'm not for Madam Balala. No, because you don't belong to their carcass. What they will do to cook up on true story and start pulling you down. Please, how can such women set a tone and get to the top? It will never happen. And my question to my wonderful speaker this afternoon is that, please, from your global experience, I know you have traveled around a lot. From a global experience, your national experience, and your local experience, has there been any point in time whereby you battle with this illustration I gave? Whereby even the rule of law, we flouted laws. We think, what can somebody do? And one thing about me, when things go wrong, man, I don't go wrong with it. People say, that Iyagani, find me. That's my liars. Of course, I love to be addressed that way. And I always like to stop when it comes to the truth. It is women, when things happen, they deviate away from the truth. My Lord, can you please tell us, maybe by the time you borrow us leave, or we tap from the anointing of the fountain of justice, maybe it can reshape the woman and in this organization, and we're able to spread our tentacle. Thank you very much.
And the final question, the gentleman over there.
Good afternoon to everyone. My question is direct to our amiable, learned son in the house, the First Lady son in this branch. I am very happy hearing that women are at the position as men. When I heard such, I am always happy, and I want, if we can ever have the first Nigerian president as a female. And I want to say that because I see that men, at many times, I don't want to use the word lack of understanding, but many of our men don't understand that women are to be supported and pushed forward. I want to really appreciate that our learned Sikh female here, with due respect, I know and I believe that your husband is very, very, very supportive to you to have gotten to this stage in life, with due respect. Now, my question now goes that, what can young women do that have aspirations to become somebody like you, or to become or to rise to a great position in the midst of men that do not really understand, that want to say no You are meant to be at home. You are meant to serve and such and such and such. And at the end, kill the aspiration that the women might be having. Because we have them in our society, many of those men. I thank God for my life. When I supported my wife in anything she wants to do. So, but what can these women do? Should they flout their husband's authority and say, no, I have aspiration. I must be what I'm meant to be. Just like as we have been taught that they must be focused, they must not allow anything to stop them. And what can they do in the midst of when men are just exercising authority to pull them down and to bring them down, by then not helping them to achieve their aspiration in life? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, yes. No, that's gentleman at the back. No, she had asked for one more person. His hand had been up earlier. Thank you, sorry.
Good afternoon. I stand on all existing protocols. My name is Adeni Ikodri. And we are all happy that platforms have been created for women who are shattering the glass ceiling. And it is very, very encouraging that women are being more vocal and very more visible in the scheme of things. But my situation or my query is, why are we not focusing on creating systems such that that will create platforms for even more women to emerge, rather than just anybody wanting to lay claim on the basis of the fact of being a woman. For example, I was in court this morning, and there was a pregnant woman in court, and there was a senior advocate, and it was very clear that pregnant, she was undergoing some form of discomfort. And the court was minded to proceed because there was a senior advocate. We had to go and talk to the senior advocate to yield the floor on the face of the obvious distress that the woman was undergoing. And of course, so why don't we agitate for situations where, for example, in such situations, pregnant women are accorded the pride of place in such a situation. Nursing mothers be given the pride of place. Why don't we look towards creating, for example, infrastructures or systems, platforms, where women who are nursing mothers or pregnant women, or particularly nursing mothers, have a system, for example, a crèche in the court environment, such that all those distractions are streaming women, the population of women in the pyramid of our profession is reversed. So I'm urging all of us to focus on creating systems that will make the best women amongst us emerge in all situations. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much to everybody. Please, if we didn't take your question, I believe the discussants will still spend a few minutes with us before they run off, so you can ask them your questions then. We're just trying to work within time. So the first thing that, the first question that was asked, I summarized it to read, how are you able to navigate or deal with your own female gender in the course of your career growth? I would like to ask Mrs. Oluwatoyin Babanola to please first speak to this question. How were you able to navigate and deal with competition from your own female gender?
Thank you. Where I work, I had a lot of counterparts that maybe we graduated same year, and we were on the same grade level. But there was something that I enjoyed. When my director was leaving, he said, this is the person that can do the job. Then when the records were checked, I was like a year ahead of them in terms of promotion. My chairman didn't tell me this then, but shortly after I resumed, he shared something with me. He said, I consulted widely with the political class, with the political parties, with people in the office, people that have left, and there was just one denominator, that all of them said, I can rely on you, I can trust you, I can depend on you. That they all said you will deliver. So when I got into the office, I didn't really have problem with anyone except just one person. And what the person felt was, oh, she would not allow us to make money. And like I've always said, government money is government money. You are not meant to just be writing, you know all these things they write, and let me write something and approve. Let me write something and approve. I'm not used to it. I won't allow it. You can't tell me your AC is not working, we must replace it. If it is in your house, you will repair it. So when you tell me, when I know you will not agree, I don't bother. I'll just bring a technician. I'll pay that technician and I'll fix it. So that my colleague just went and started saying things. But I was not moved, because I think that's one of the best ways to handle such people. I will cite a simple example. I proposed amendments to the Electoral Act. We are going to National Assembly. And I felt, oh, we need to present this. No, not apart from the proposal. I also did something on conflicting judgments. So we need to present it in a fine way. I just called one guy in my office who knew how to work with the computer. I said, please just produce cover for me, something that would look nice. He produced it. So I made copies and put inside. My colleague felt, oh, I must have applied for money, I must have done something. So one day, one of the commissioners asked her, hey, where is this proposal for amendments and the rest? She said they should go and ask her. She printed something. I went to the woman, I said, she called me, where's the doctor? I said, I didn't print anything. And I went to her, I said, can't you remember the day I did this? I tried my best to bring her in. Then I got to a point, I made up my mind. I needed to ignore her and move on. And that's just what I did. And she saw that she had to calm down at the end of the day. I think we need more advocacy for women to support women. There is no reason why a woman should not support a woman. Mrs. Sarah Jubril contested presidential ticket in PDP. I was on seat. When she was going out, so many women followed her to the podium. When they announced the result, she got only one vote. She got only one vote. And people kept saying they were not even sure whether she even voted for herself. We need to support each other. But please, when you find any woman trying to pull you down, that is the time for you to rise to the occasion. Rise above that woman. Do everything you know how to do. Make sure you are not found wanting. Don't put your hand into anything that will make anyone have evidence against you to pull you down. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. And that first question is almost closely related to the second one. That's talking about why we women sometimes consider ourselves less than men and call ourselves names that are not. I would ask Milord to please just talk to us about that.
Thank you. I'll quickly just say I thought that the issue of why do women do that was general. However, I'll just quickly add that if you want to make a change or an impact and you think that you will not make enemies, especially from the women folk, please resign. Resign. Forget it. It will happen. Don't even, I don't know why anybody will be asking that question. Because when I was asked to go to the palace, it was not a man who asked me. It was my gender. When they tell you to go to Abuja, it's not to go to Abuja where they do something. It hardly comes from the men. No. It's from the women who ask you those, the most ridiculous, who make demands, crazy demands, ask you to do crazy things. The women, your gender. So, and I have here, for some strange reason, I wrote that down. Charles Mackay, he's a poet. And he said, he who has mingled in the fray of duty, that the brave endure, must have made fools. He says, if you have not, then small is the work that you've done. He says, you have been a coward in the fight. So if you go into that fight and you think that women will support you, your worst challenges will come from women. But at the same time, your best challenges will also come from a woman. A woman will either want to pull you down or support you. Case in point is myself. I never knew the CJ of Ogun State in all my life. In short, I thought I was very versatile and I knew a lot of things. I was amazed when she was introduced to me 5 years ago. I think she'd come here to the Lagos, well, I was this year in Lagos, and then she'd come to the foyer for an event, which was where we usually held all of those ceremonies. And I think she needed to use the bathroom, and one of my sisters, my colleague, had brought her. And she'd used my bathroom, had been polite, and I didn't know who she was. And then after everything, she just turned and said, "Thank you very much, but may I know you?" And in my usual self, "Oh, but this is who I am, blah, blah, blah." Said, "When were you called to the bar?" I told her. And she came near me to hit me, that type that they give you and you see stars. Of course, I knew what was coming, so of course I dodged it. I reset your brain. So of course I dodged it, and I held her and she said, "What are you doing here? Why are you people like this? You've served this state for so long. I don't see any prospect. Take my number. Call me." I still didn't call you. Let me confess. I didn't call. One day, I think they put out that advertising for the appointment, and she forwarded it to me, and I applied. And I will not bore you. The rest today is history. When it became time for my appointment, she told me, "What we're used to is we take names from the High Court to NJC for them to make president." And that was what she did, in all honesty. But that she now got there, and they told her, "Stand up. You brought the name. Don't you know we've been trying to change the policy?" And she said she continued to defend herself. She's quite like me. And she said, "Well, I'm not aware that there's a particular policy. We've seen that in this state, this applied. In the other state, yes, you didn't allow someone to cross over. But in another state, you allowed it." So this one said, "Okay, sit down." All that time, she hadn't told me. I was not even planning. I was happy with my judgeship and looking forward to 4 years' time to retire. And then she said, she came back and all hell, as in all hell went loose from the High Court. And the leaders, I'm not saying leader, plural, of the park were women. What petition did they not write under the sun? But you know, my skin is so thick, I really wasn't bothered. I could sleep at night. I mean, it will flash through my mind during the day, and I will question, and they said the most horrible things. "Oh, what? Don't mind her. She knows everybody." You know, at the time I was like, "God, I must be great. So these people must have a different picture." that I know NJC, that I have, sorry, the word was I have NJC in my pocket. I said, Chai, that's good though, it's a good place to be. So let me go and look for my family to come and make them judges since I have NJC in my pocket. That this is not, somebody said, this is not the hand of God, it is the hand of the devil. She has gone round. She has, and the leaders, look, all this allegation came from women. There was no, in short, a man said that he had been invited, typical of men, and he said the first question he asked was, is it the CJ calling the meeting? Typical. A man would want to know, really, this meeting. And that is, he went further to say if it was a CJ, she would have put it on our platform. So what's this meeting about? Say, no, but we said, but all of that came from women. And then they wrote to her, what did they not write? I'm her something, I know her. She wants to put, I cannot interfere in her budget. She cannot come and defend my budget. I will not go and defend her budget. I don't know, is it not just for me, but for everybody else? What did I do? I affected policy. A policy came out. So if you don't expect your gender to oppose you, my Lord, welcome to my world. I got to Ogun State and I almost went crazy. And it was, in short, it was actually an offense for me. And then I was like, how do I do this? How am I going to relate? Sometimes I will lady you. If you like, frown. I will apologize and say, I'm sorry. Look, I'm coming from a background where women allowed themselves to be addressed as my lady. What we need is an acceptance. Lagos, where with my lady? I go to Ogun State. In short, for me, it was a problem. When they first heard for us as a people, and now I'm not talking about just women, for us as a people to change. In the midst of it are some men who are enjoying the fact that they are saying that.
Deal with spouses that would grow faster, make more money, and wear the trousers in the house.
Thank you. Yes, my colleague said, he directed the question. The reason is that it's the fear of unknown. The woman is going to say, I want to dominate. I want to be the head of the home. The woman will take over. If she becomes, if she gets to the top, she will. Woman, why are you so ambitious? Don't go near him. These are men that will not allow you to get anywhere. But if you are unfortunately in it already, and the wife is doing well, insecure. Complex is their problem. This issue started, oh yes, the issue of there are no ladies at the bar was put to rest in 1921 when Edwards versus Canada, AG Canada, went to court. And the court said that interpretation of a person in Solicitors Act of 1843 includes a woman. When
in little ways like lending support, in little ways like encouraging. When I was in the Federal Ministry of Justice, I had a clerk. So she was earning, maybe the registrar, and the judge also apparently had sent him on an errand and has always been there. So if we are looking forward and want to achieve great things, it behoves every one of us sitting here, wherever we find ourselves, to constantly ask ourselves, how can I improve on the lot of women? It must become one of our mission or vision in life. What can I do to help this lady to improve on herself, to be better, to get to where she can be? I told you, maybe now because there are two women in Ogun State heading to different courts, it's easier for both of us to come together and say, yes, what is the major, these women, excuses, they want to go and see their daughter or carry their child. Let's create a creche. Now, when you have creche, where will you say you want to go again? Your child can come to work, your child is there, you're confident that your child is safe, and your child is where you can access your child. When I've had opportunities to teach or lecture, like I said, I first wanted to be a teacher and then a lawyer, and I'm both. So sometimes when you call me to talk, I'm talking like from the point of view of a teacher. I tell women, there are some things I don't do. As a mother, I will not send my child to a school where I cannot trek to go and pick the child. This is Nigeria. You will hear that there is riots in Kinikon now. You will be shaking. But if I'm here and they say there is riots, I will just put the book down. I will just walk. I will go grab my daughter and we will go home. No problem. I don't like trouble. The school there is good. What was this school here in IKEJA? There's a secondary school in IKEJA that everybody, they were all taking their children rushing. Great, thank you. I said, one, I can't afford it. Two, from Lekki, I will come to grade when there is OI in Lagos. That's the end of my life. Let me just put her in any school. If you like, only grade 2 school. Let her stay there, study, and come out. A school where we can go there, work, and so also advocacy is important, but also mentoring, teaching, and assisting where I see a need, that a gap that I can fill. Even now, if I have to bring your daughter, if you have to bring your daughter to my office, it won't cost me anything. I used to sit in Ikorodu. I had there was a female magistrate who never had a child. And when she finally did, of course I encouraged her to bring her child to Ikorodu with her in the office. Because if I don't, she will go home before overnight. Who is going to do the overnight? Not me. So please bring your child. We will all stay here until 4 o'clock. And then we will go. It's when you don't, so you create those opportunities. Wherever you find yourself at whatever point, as a woman, as a female leader, as a woman who has broken the ceiling, as a woman who is aspiring to break the ceiling, as the first secretary of IKEJA MBA, as the first registrar, wherever and however, create those opportunities where your gender will flourish. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We would like to thank profusely Mrs. Oluwatoyin Babalola. Please let's give her a round of applause. Honorable Justice Adebisi Femi Shego, round of applause please. And Mrs. Fumi Falana, SAN. Thank you very much for a very engaging session. I will hand back to the learned self.
Yeah, thank you, Mrs. Onyeso. Well, we have come to the end of this session, and do I take it that it's a successful session? Do we think it is? So let's give a round of applause. And I believe we have a lot of things to take away. I remember when Mrs. Babala first spoke, she said something that the INEC chairman said, "Can I have your CV?" And in no time, she made it available. Now, some of us will possibly take another week or two putting the CV together. And, you know, just like that. So being prepared is part of what we're taking away. That when the opportunity knocks, here you are, making it available. And I believe we should all go with that. You know, this question of my lady and my lord, for me, I think the problem is that these concepts are foreign to us. The way a British woman understands being called a lady is not the way a Nigerian woman understands it. So I think that's a mental problem. That who is your lady? But of course, somebody knows that even is more dignifying. Being called a lady. But here is a struggle. Say, me, your lady. Iwatitani. So I believe that maybe if we get a better understanding of this concept, it will help us. And, well, we men are also going the way we've been taught and told to be supportive of women. And we hope that those women who are also hostile to women will have a rethink and from this moment begin to change. Don't block your chances. You know, listening to that story about Mrs. Sarah Jibrin, I was just laughing. In other words, many people followed her, but they knew they were not going to vote for her. And they said, don't mind her, she was just wasting her time. You know, so these are the things we want to take away. Well, we want to just show a note of appreciation to our speakers. So I leave it to the chairman to do our presentation. Thank you, Mr. Yeso, for a beautiful afternoon and for doing a marvelous job as moderator. We are grateful to you.
Thank you very much once again. Please, can we have an applause for our distinguished guests this afternoon? Undoubtedly, in this hall this afternoon and seated here are nature's most wonderful. And I tell you, and I say that with every sense of humility, women are very beautiful. And, you just need to understand. I have three, my Lord and distinguished guests here. I have three beautiful women in my life. My wife, my daughter, and my mother. And because I understand very early in life that they all have their powers, so I know how to behave myself. You understand? When my wife wants something done, I know I could see the signal. When it is my daughter, that one, she's the youngest, but she, very powerful. Very powerful. And mothers, the way they are. Because they believe there's nothing you are getting from your wife that we have not first given you. So, I think that, like this Leonard Sick said, we're just whispering to ourselves there. We need to support our women. You understand? And I quite agree. And I love when the Leonard Sick advocate said something about capacity too. It was very instructive for me. You talk about capacity. That is very important. And getting prepared, like the Leonard Sick did say now, is very, very important. The first time I appeared before against you, I don't know whether you remember, at Just So Showed, you were still sitting here. I was very young. You intimidated me so much. I went home, I told my boy, I said, no, they said that's Mrs. Falano now, that the husband. I said, oh, that woman. So every time I was appearing against you, I read, So women, they are beautiful and they could do this thing better. And we understand that fact. But so much has been said here also is about capacity, is about getting ready for the job to be done. We can't just keep throwing, this gender thing everywhere. And I say that with the greatest respect here. And you have said that much too. So we appreciate your coming. And we appreciate every woman that we have in this hall. Last year, we didn't even want to have men here. We just wanted the women to come and do their things. But then, you can't do this thing without men. And the men, you agree with me that they can't do this thing without us. You understand? So, of course, we are happy. We are always happy to have you and to support you. And we'll be supporting our women here. I have 4 women in my executive, and the way I navigate are very powerful women, very powerful indeed. That's a story for another time. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we've had a very wonderful session. Please, can we put our hands together again? Let's have okay, sir. We've already presented. Let us see.
Yes, I just invite my Lord, Honorable Justice Davis Femishego, just to receive our token. Now, the chairman said something that we have very beautiful women. When we had a reception from a lot some years ago, one of our classmates came to me. She said, do you know that when we were undergraduate, I used to hire her? He said, but somehow I didn't have the courage to walk up to her. So, my Lord, it's our great pleasure to have you here and for honoring our invitation. And you've really made a very wonderful contribution this afternoon. And we are grateful to you for making out the time. We're grateful. Thank you so much. Babalola, please.
Men conspiracy. Because I can't understand why I was asked to do this. I used to call her Auntie B. I knew her even before I became a lawyer. The story she narrated that she started in Ogun State, I shared, I knew her far back. And when she got to Abuja, she had reinforced that my commitment that a woman who is diligent will certainly get to the top. So on behalf of IKEJA branch of the Nigerian Bar Association, we say thank you so much. We appreciate your coming. And on behalf of the chairman and members of the ESCO, we present this to you as a token of our appreciation.
Since this is a women thing, Mrs. Fawcett Bakari, please, can we have you here? Please do this presentation. Oh, my beautiful
Nkechi Onyeso, resplendent. You make us proud all the time. We hear much about you. May God continue to imbue you with that wisdom, understanding, grace, and affectionate by His grace. So on behalf of the Nigerian Bar Association IKEJA branch, as a token gift, we are presenting this to honor you and to appreciate your contribution. Thank you very much.
So, let's fix her. Dennis, we've come to the end of the session. Okay. $2:00. Okay. 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 So we'll be having a break now for. Yes. Yes, photographs. Then we'll take a break, 30 minutes break, to come back for the afternoon session by 2. It will commence between 2 and 2:30. Thank you very much for coming. We should safe journey back to your various destinations.
Let's take our photograph, please. Chairman.